You're 60 years old, you've got $3 million saved, according to Federal Reserve data that puts you in the top 1% of households in the entire country. On paper, you've absolutely won the game. So why then does it feel like retiring today in 2026 feel absolutely impossible? Every morning it's a different headline, right? The AI bubble, tariffs, oil shocks, everything happening in the Middle East. Maybe Social Security might run out of money in a few years. We've got the everything bubble. Every single one of those headlines is telling you the same thing, and that's that retiring in 2026 feels completely insane. But here's what I want to show you today. $3 million at age 60 is mathematically more than enough to retire. It's a slam dunk and it's not even close. And the real thing standing between you and retirement isn't in your portfolio and it isn't in the headlines. It's somewhere else entirely. And once you see it, you're not going to be able to unsee it. If you're new here, my name is Ben Brandt. I've been a retirement planner for almost 20 years, and I want to help you have an even better retirement. So in this video, I'm going to show you three things. First, exactly what $3 million at age 60 can actually produce. Not the 4% rule version, but the real monthly income that you can spend comfortably starting right now. Second, we're going to name the specific fears making retirement feel impossible today. And we're going to walk through why each one is a lot quieter than the headlines would want you to believe. And third, I'm going to show you the one tool that we use with clients that you can download for yourself for free. And it's going to let you turn down a lot of the noise from the headlines and hopefully have an even better retirement. So let's start where you actually stand. If you've saved $3 million by age 60, well, you are a pretty rare breed. Like I mentioned, Federal Reserve data puts you somewhere in the top few percent, potentially as high as the top 1% of U.S. households. Most of the country isn't anywhere near this. You didn't stumble on this number. It wasn't an accident, right? You saved for decades and you delayed gratification. So how do we undelay that gratification? How do we spend it now? We want to put that $3 million in context with numbers that actually matter to regular life. So the U.S. Census Bureau tells us that median household income in the U.S. is roughly $83,000 per year. Half lives on less, half lives on more. That's the lifestyle that most of Americans are funding with their full-time earned income. So let's do some quick math. $1.5 million in a portfolio at a 5% withdrawal rate is going to produce about $75,000 a year in gross income. If we then combine that with a median Social Security benefit of about $24,000, $2,000 a month, then you're already above the median household income for the United States. $1.5 million plus average Social Security produces an above average American lifestyle. Well, you've got twice that in your portfolio, and I'd be willing to bet you've got probably an above average Social Security benefit. So think about what that actually means for a moment. If you wanted to live a standard middle class lifestyle, $3 million does it with half of your portfolio left over as a safety net. If you want to live a life that's a lot bigger than middle class, travel, second home, spoil the grandkids, whatever it is, whatever your version of an even better retirement looks like, $3 million still does that pretty comfortably. So let me show you what this actually looks like for a couple that is roughly your age. Let's say a couple, married couple, both 60 years old, $3 million, standard 60-40, 60% stocks, 40% bonds and cash. In our guardrail spreadsheet that we use with clients, we can model them spending roughly $15,000 a month. Right now, call that $180,000 a year. On a $3 million portfolio, that's a 6% withdrawal rate. Now, I can hear some of you saying already, Ben, 6% is crazy. That's way above the 4% rule. Yes, granted, it is above the 4% rule, but that's really far from crazy. Remember, the 4% rule is very linear, right? It assumes that retirement spending is just a flat line forever. From experience, I can tell you that real retirement is anything but a flat line. In fact, in the first 10 years of retirement, most married couples are going to experience somewhere between 5 and 10 or more changes in their cash flow, right? We've got Medicare, 2 Medicare timelines, 1 for each spouse, 2 Social Security timelines, 1 for each spouse. Maybe the mortgage is paid off. Maybe there's a pension in there somewhere. The kids might move out at some point, as we like to say, get the freeloaders offloaded. Each of those changes will eventually reduce how much spending the portfolio is responsible for. So really the only way the 4% rule can account for all those changes is to just have you drastically underspend the potential of your portfolio during the first decade of retirement. And honestly, that's kind of the opposite of what most people are trying to plan for. And that makes it feel harder to retire, even when we've saved more than enough money for an average lifestyle or an above average lifestyle. So early in retirement, when you're healthy and energetic and you can actually spend money on the things that you want to spend money on, your portfolio does more of the heavy lifting. You can run well above the 4% safe withdrawal rule. We just think of it as kind of borrowing from our future self, from Social Security checks that haven't kicked in yet, right? Then at 67 or 70, when those Social Security benefits come online, and that our portfolio gets to take a breath of fresh air, and that withdrawal rate comes way down. In a recent video on this channel, we talked about a single retiree at 59 with $1.5 million. She's running a 6.8% withdrawal rate, and the math worked great because of this exact dynamic that we're talking about. If it works for her at $1.5 million, well, it absolutely works for this couple at $3 million. So again, let's walk through the math here. Age 60, $15,000 a month from the portfolio. At 67, when this couple starts collecting 2 Social Security benefits, and if you've saved $3 million by 60, your earnings history probably means above average benefits. We're probably looking at anywhere from $5,500 to $6,500 a month combined benefits at full retirement age. All of a sudden, well, you need a lot less from your portfolio. A 60-year-old couple with $3 million can comfortably spend $15,000 a month today. And then by the time they're in their 70s, their benefits from Social Security are going to cover probably half of their monthly need. And then at that point, the portfolio never has to work as hard as it did in those first few years. So then I'll ask you the question again. If you're 60 years old with $3 million and the math says you could fund close to double the median American household income starting today, before we even start talking about Social Security, well, my math says that you've won. You finished the race, but for some reason, you're still running. You're still working. What that tells me is that the reason you can't pull the trigger on retirement is probably not wholly about money. So what's actually stopping you? Well, I think it comes down to 2 words: doom stacking. The reason retirement feels impossible today has almost nothing to do with the spreadsheets that you're building for yourself. It has everything to do with the space between your ears. And right now in 2026, there are 3 specific issues that feel like impending doom, and they all stack together and they make it feel like retiring in 2026 is impossible. And it's keeping people that would otherwise be financially ready for retirement, it's keeping them chained to their desks. So let's go through them. Retirement anxiety number 1, the stock market is about to crash. This is a big one, kind of an evergreen topic, but you look at your phone every morning and every headline is screaming about something. We've got the AI bubble, the Magnificent Seven, we've got concentration risk, all of the above. Jamie Dimon says he thinks there's a bigger chance of a stock drop than the market is actually pricing in. Ray Dalio is comparing our current situation to the dot-com bubble. You've got 5 companies making up a huge chunk of the S&P 500. So the voice in the back of your head says, yes, the market is near all-time highs, but the moment I retire is the moment this whole house of cards comes crashing down. I get it, and I hear this every single cycle, and I think it's a perfectly reasonable fear. But let's put some numbers on it and talk about how we can invest in spite of these issues. This really isn't as unusual as it might seem. The stock market spends about 1/3 of all trading days within 5% of an all-time high. Almost half of the time it's within 10% of an all-time high. So waiting for the market to feel safe before you retire is really waiting for a signal that's literally never going to come. The feeling of it might crash is really baked into the foundation of being an investor. It's the bitter pill to swallow, right? It's the price of admission. It's the exact reason that the stock market pays handsomely more than like something risk-free like CDs. So even once you're officially retired, the market is really never going to feel safe. So on the run up to retirement, while you're retired, there's really never an all clear signal. Over a 30-year retirement, you're going to probably live through 30 corrections of 10% or more, probably 1 per year. You're likely going to live through 5 bear markets, and you're probably going to see crashes big enough, 1 or 2 crashes big enough to get a name. That's when you know they're real, is when they get a name. And yet through all that, a balanced 60-40 style portfolio has not just survived, it's really thrived. So let me show you just how durable this thing is and why it's basically the default retirement portfolio. So if we take an overly simplified 60-40 portfolio, 60% S&P 500 for our stocks, 40% U.S. aggregate bond index for our bonds and cash, and we look at the full 30-year window from 1995 through 2025, well, that portfolio finished the year in negative territory only about 6 times. So of course, the ones you'd expect: 2000, 01, and 02 for the dot-com crisis, 2008 for the financial crisis, 2018, I have no idea what happened in 2018. If you do, put it in the comments and jog my memory. And in 2022, that was pretty interesting because both stocks and bonds got hit at the same time. But of those, 6 down years out of 30. And here's the interesting part. 3 out of those 6, 2000, 2001, and 2018, were all under 5% declines annualized. Really barely a blip. The only meaningful drawdowns were from 2002, 2008, and 2022. And really in each of those cases, that portfolio fully recovered within 1 to 3 years. Now remember that 1 to 3 year time frame. That's going to be really important in an upcoming section about how do we navigate this. Over that same 30-year period, that same 60-40 mix returned somewhere between 7 and 9% per year on average. Nice and steady growth and pretty quick recoveries. That's really why the 60-40 portfolio is kind of the cornerstone of basically every retirement plan that you come across. This data is from Morningstar Direct and other resources like BlackRock and Vanguard. But let me know in the comments if you'd like to review some of the source material, and I'll post a link to my sources. You don't have to take my word for it. So let's make the comparison then that everybody's talking about right now, including the famed investor Ray Dalio about the dot-com bubble. And let's look at what happened to the 60-40 investor as what we think is the best comparison that we have. So the dot-com crash ran from March of 2000 to October of 2002. The S&P dropped about 37%, and the NASDAQ lost about 75%. It was a total bloodbath for stocks. But just a boring 60-40 portfolio, well, that was a totally different story. In 2000, stocks fell about 9%, but bonds rose about 11%. So the net result was down about 1% for the year. 2001, stocks down 12%, bonds up 8%. So we're totaling that to down about 3.5%. In 2002, the stock market finally capitulated, stocks down 22%, but in response, bonds rose about 10%. So that kept our 60-40 decline to about 9% that year. Then in 2003, stocks were up 20%. 2004 added another 8%. And by the middle of 2004, 60-40 had completely recovered. About 2 years before the S&P 500 got back to even. This is not a happy accident. That's really the entire point of diversification, and the point of 60-40 is that when stocks have a bad day, bonds usually have a good day. And the retiree with a well-built plan isn't forced then to sell stocks at a loss to buy groceries the following week, because that grocery money was harvested from stock gains during our last rebalance. And it's just patiently waiting there in your bonds and cash for you to spend it. Now, does 60-40 always work flawlessly? Well, no, sadly it doesn't. In 2022, that was the exception. That's when the Fed raised rates faster than any time in modern history because they were trying to fight inflation. Both stocks and bonds got hit at the same time. But even then, money markets didn't go down, and our short-term treasuries rebounded pretty quickly. And the retirement income guardrails and the retirement runway, some of the things we'll talk about here in a moment, they did their job, and they kept our retirement paycheck uninterrupted, which then brings us to retirement anxiety number 2. That's all well and good. My portfolio may recover, but the headlines are louder than ever. Not just the market, but there's tariffs, there's war in the Middle East. Oil is spiking and then crashing sometimes on the same day. I'm worried about Social Security. There's a government shutdown every 6 months, sometimes every 6 minutes. Every single one of those stories is yelling at you, don't retire, you'd be crazy to give up your job at this point. Here's the thing to understand. Headlines are louder than ever because we're all carrying the entire world's anxiety in a magic rectangle in our pocket, right? 24/7. That doesn't actually mean that the world is more dangerous than it was 20 years ago. It just means that you're hearing about all of it all the time in real time, and you just can't ever get away from it. So your anxiety is created by the headlines. But unfortunately, or fortunately, headlines are not a retirement plan. So if you think about the last 25 years, right? We had September 11th, we had 2 wars, we had the financial crisis, European debt crisis, COVID, inflation, interest rates going from 0 to 5% plus in probably less than a year. If you had been waiting during the last 25 years for a calm moment to retire at any point in the last quarter century, you'd still be sitting at your desk today and we would have missed out on 25 years of retirement, right? But the fact of the matter is, even through every single one of those events, a balanced portfolio just kept doing its job quietly behind the scenes. Every generation thinks their specific crisis is going to be the one that breaks the system. And every single generation so far has been wrong. Now, before I jump into retirement anxiety number 3, if you'd like the best retirement news of the week without all the clickbait headlines, well, that's exactly what you get with my weekly newsletter, This Week in Retirement. So let me find the best retirement content on the internet each week and deliver it to you right to your email inbox. So click the link in the description or visit thisweekinretirement.com and join our over 14,000 other retirement newsletter subscribers. And then finally, retirement anxiety number 3, emotional placeholders. So this is the sneakiest one, I think, but these are financial milestones that sound logical, but they're really just, I'm not ready for retirement yet with more responsible sounding names. So I can't retire until my mortgage is paid off. I couldn't possibly retire until Medicare at 65. I can't retire until I start Social Security, right? I got to be full Social Security retirement age. Each one of those really sounds like a real number, a legitimate, line item in your budget or line in the sand. But when you actually plan around them, they're usually not the blocker. They're more of a security blanket. And we'll cover each of these in detail in a future video because I think each one probably deserves its own episode. The short version, the Cliff's Notes version, is this. A proper retirement plan knows exactly when your mortgage is about to disappear. It knows exactly when Medicare is going to cut your health insurance costs. It knows what your options are for when Social Security might come online, right? The plan accounts for each of those before they happen. So you're not waiting for them. You are designing a plan that accounts for them. You're designing around those milestones. So now that we've identified those 3 fears, let me give you the one tool that actually makes the loudest of them, a stock market crash, a lot quieter. I call it your retirement runway. Some people call it months of safety. You might hear it referred to as buckets, all somewhat similar concepts. But here's how it works. You take all of your conservative assets, money market funds, CDs, short-term, intermediate-term bond funds, anything that's not a stock. We're talking about your retirement portfolio, not necessarily your checking and savings. But anything that's not a stock, you add it all up, and then you divide it by your monthly income that you need in retirement. That number is then your runway. So how many months your retirement paycheck can keep coming without referring to the stock market at all, without selling a single stock at a loss. Now, remember earlier when I told you that a 1 to 3 year time frame was how long it took to navigate those meaningful drawdowns, right? 2002, 2008, 2022. This is where we invest using the context then of those recent big drawdowns. So let me show you what this looks like for our couple. $3 million, 60-40 allocation. That's $1.2 million in bonds and cash. They're spending $15,000 a month. 1.2 million divided by 15,000 equals 80 months of runway. That's almost 7 years before they have to sell a single stock. Now, using that 1 to 3 year time frame that we would have needed to help navigate 2002, 2008, and 2022, well, that's almost double the runway that we would have needed to navigate those downturns, which feels like an appropriate buffer and then probably a little bit extra. Going then back to our .com example, the 60-40 was fully recovered in about 4.5 years. This couple has 7 years of runway. So even in the most similar analog that we have from today's market to a recent downturn, remember some of the most famous investors has said this feels like a .com style stock market, right? Even if we have a similar market concentration fear, we've got now a multi-year buffer to help us account for that. So now we get to reframe the fear. When and if the AI bubble pops or tariffs spike or oil gets more volatile or something else in the Middle East breaks, or we get a Social Security headline that's bad for the 15th time this year, this couple that we're talking about, they're not selling their stocks into any of that. Their grocery money for this month is coming from a bond fund that they set aside specifically for this scenario. Their stocks can sit in the 60% stock portion of their portfolio. They can go through a correction and they can come back. There's really no need to try to time the market jumping in and out. We've prepared in advance and we've got time. And really, time in the market is the only one thing that the market can reliably give us as long as we're not forced to sell. The retirement runway of bonds and cash is what lets us relax and release some of that anxiety that we get from doom stacking, because it turns an abstract fear, what if the market crashes, into a concrete answer. I've got 7 years of monthly income already lined up, stock market or no stock market. And that's the shift. That's what moves you from I can't retire today to the headlines are not my problem. I have prepared in advance. If you're 60 with $3 million and you still can't pull the trigger on retirement, the issue isn't the number. The issue is that you don't have a plan that then translates that number into a monthly paycheck with enough retirement runway underneath it that it makes sense for you. Really, that's what we build with clients every day. If you want me to look at your specific situation and show you what this would look like for your retirement, check out our Retire Ready Blueprint. Go ahead and click the link in the description of this video and you can learn more. So I'm Ben. I hope this video helped to make your retirement even better, and I'll see you on the next one.